What science calls Three-Eye Atlas is not what it seems. I operated on a wounded alien, and in return, he revealed the truth to me. And when you discover what this interstellar object really is, you'll realize the story of comets is just a lie told to lull humanity to sleep. The revelation I received isn't about meteors, collisions, or asteroids. It's about something much deeper, something that's active, that's happening right now, and that could rewrite Earth's history. Dr. Nathan Cross saw the atlas from a perspective NASA never will, and he discovered that the cosmos isn't random. It's an orchestra of forces waiting for you to wake up. Before we dive deeper, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Grab yourself a warm drink, maybe a cup of tea, or just some water, and sit back as we begin this journey together. Now, let me tell you how it all started. That morning, Dr. Nathan Cross was alone in the medical office at the astronomical research station when the seismic alarm went off. 2:47 a.m. Lonely shift. The Atacama Desert stretches on forever under the clearest sky on the planet. 41 years old general practitioner. 3 years working at that isolated station in northern Chile. Most of my colleagues thought it was strange. What competent doctor would you choose in the middle of nowhere? Nathan never fully explained, but the truth was simple. He came to be closer to the stars, closer to possibility. Since childhood, he's been fascinated by extraterrestrial life. While others dreamed of being astronauts, Nathan dreamed of meeting aliens, understanding them, connecting. 3 years there, 3 years watching the sky, waiting nothing, and slowly, painfully, resignation taking over. Maybe we're alone, maybe there'll never be contact. But that morning, everything changed. Seismic alarm. Nathan checked the monitor. Impact detected. 8 kilometers north. Moderate force but abnormal thermal reading. And then he saw it. Electromagnetic signal moving toward the station. Heart raced. Meteors don't move deliberately. Satellites don't generate that kind of signal. He went to the window. Dark desert, endless stars. And then he saw light, faint, staggering, approaching. Nathan stepped outside. The cold desert night air was cutting through his lungs. He walked toward the light flashlight in hand, and he stopped completely when he saw it. Humanoid figure but wrong proportions. Large head limbs, too long, dragging, and wounded, clearly wounded. Something was oozing from the chest liquid that glowed silvery blue luminescent. The creature lifted its head, saw Nathan, and staggered, almost collapsed. Nathan felt shock, pure terror, every instinct screaming to flee. But then he saw in the creature's eyes, huge, completely black, something universal. Pain, fear, plea, and the doctor inside him spoke louder than terror. Someone is injured, needs help. Nathan ran, catching the creature before it fell. Lighter than expected, skin strangely warm, almost vibrating. You need treatment. Office now. He didn't know if the creature understood, but he helped Nathan carry it back to the station. Good luck. Solo duty tonight. No one to see, no one to explain the impossibility. He placed the creature on a stretcher. Fluorescent light revealed details that made Nathan tremble. It wasn't monstrous, just profoundly different. Alien in the most literal sense. Chest wound, deep puncture, luminescent fluid oozing. Okay, Nathan pulled on gloves with shaking hands. I don't know your anatomy, but I will try. He began by cleaning the wound, carefully examining the damage. The internal structure wasn't human, but there was logic patterns. Nathan recognized, even though they were alien. An hour passed. Nathan worked with complete concentration, sealing vessels if they were vessels, suturing tissue if it was tissue, and then it happened. When Nathan pressed on the wound to staunch the flow, touching deeply, he felt something in his mind. Not his pain, the creature's pain. As if. Thanks, Nathan froze. I heard that, yes. Sorry to scare you. Only way I can communicate. Are you in my head? When you touch my body directly, mind touches mine. Temporary connection. Telepathic. Nathan looked down at his hands, still in contact with the wound. This is real. You are real. Yes. And you are saving my life. What happened? How did you ship damaged collision with debris? Had to make an emergency landing. Injury during descent. Nathan continued working processing impossibility while hands operated automatically. How long until you can leave if the wound stabilizes? A few hours. My physiology regenerates faster than a human's. And then you leave and I'm left here questioning sanity. Nathan felt something. Not words, but feeling mood. He's not crazy. Although he understands doubt. 3 years here. 3 years waiting for some sign of life outside. And now you literally fall into my wounded lap. Synchronicity. What the universe connecting those who need to find each other. You were searching. I needed help. Paths crossed. Nathan finished the improvised suture. He covered the wound with a bandage. The luminescent liquid finally stopped oozing. There. Best I can do with alien anatomy. It's enough. I can already feel the healing beginning. Nathan sat on the stool, finally allowing himself to truly look, see, absorb. Alien real on his stretcher, telepathic. Why here? Why Earth observation? Your species is in an interesting moment. Interesting how crossroads. You can evolve consciously or continue destructive patterns. And what do you observe for cosmic scientific report? No, because be careful. Your species has immense potential, but also immense risks. Nathan thought about the news war's climate change polarization. We haven't painted a pretty picture lately. No, but they also show beauty, art, compassion, deep love, fascinating paradox. How many of you watching many from various civilizations? Nathan felt dizzy. Then we're not alone. We never were. Never. But most of you deny it. You don't want to see it. It's more comfortable to believe in cosmic solitude. Why? Why would it be more comfortable? Because knowing, really knowing, means having to grow. Change admit that they're not the center of everything. Nathan was quiet, absorbing. The creature on the stretcher was breathing easier now. The wound was visibly improving. Regeneration was accelerated. Do you have a name? Something I can call you? Name you would understand. Break, lie, layer in. Okay, I'm Nathan. I know. I felt it when he touched me. Dr. Lonely Seeker, do you read my mind completely? Not completely, just essence, who you are deep down. And who am I? Someone who always knew there was more. Who came to the desert looking for answers. Who is tired of waiting but hasn't given up completely. Nathan felt something tighten in his throat. 3 years. 3 years of looking at the stars every night, waiting for a sign. Any sign. And now it has. And now I do. Nathan laughed humorlessly. Universe has a strange sense of humor. He has comfortable silence. Nathan watching Lyron. Lyron resting, but conscious. How long until you need to go at dawn? When the sun rises, I will be strong enough. Nathan looked out the window. The sky was beginning to lighten on the horizon. Then we have maybe 2 hours. Try. Can I ask questions? Of course. That's why you're here. Here, like at this station here, as in this moment, in this meeting, synchronicity. Remember, and Nathan realized it was no accident. Somehow impossible but real. It was meant to be this way. 3 years waiting. And when I gave up waiting, the answer literally fell from the sky. Wounded, needing him. Okay. Nathan took a deep breath. Then let's use these 2 hours. Well, yes, ask whatever you want. And as the Atacama Desert slowly brightened outside, Nathan Cross began asking questions he had kept bottled up all his life, not knowing yet that some answers would change everything, especially answers about the object that all scientists were observing now. But that would come later. For now, just doctor and alien connected talking under a sky that was Nathan now knew much less empty than it had always seemed. Nathan pulled the stool closer to the stretcher. Lyron was visibly better. The chest wound no longer glowed as brightly, regeneration proceeding at an impossible speed. First question, Nathan began. Why reveal yourself to me? Why not just hide, heal yourself, and leave? Because he was dying. His wound was critical. Without help, he wouldn't survive until dawn. But you took a risk. I could have run called. The military reacted with violence. Yes, but I felt you before you arrived. Your essence, Dr. Healer Seeker. I took the risk because my intuition told me it was safe. Nathan processed. You can sense people from a distance like emotional radar. Something like that, energy fields. All conscious beings emit frequencies some more clearly than others. What about mine? My frequency. What does it say about me? Lyron turned his head, huge eyes fixed on Nathan. Loneliness. Deep but not bitter. Curiosity that never died. Even with disappointment and longing missing, what of belonging, of connecting, of finding something bigger than yourself. Nathan felt a lump in his throat. You read well. It's not reading. It's just perception. You convey this strongly. Nathan was silent for a moment. Then you said many civilizations observe Earth. How many exactly? Difficult to quantify. Directly dozens, indirectly hundreds. Some simply monitor, others study in depth. And your civilization, what category? In-depth study. We have been following human development for millennia. Millennia, Nathan leaned in. Since when? Since before you had writing. We have observed the rise and fall of civilizations' progress and regression. And they never interfered. They never helped. Direct interference is complicated. Free will is sacred. Each species must find its own path. But they observe like scientists observing rats in a maze. No thought came firmly, not as an experiment, as concern, hope, cheering. Cheering for what? So that they may evolve. So that they may choose love over fear, unity over division before it's too late. Nathan felt weight in those words. Late as extinction. Yes, we've seen it happen. Intelligent species that didn't consciously evolve in time. Self-destruction in various forms. How many? How many didn't make it? Many. More than I care to count. What about us humans? Can we make it? Lyron was silent, then still undefined. You are at a critical juncture. The coming years, decades, will determine your trajectory. Nathan stood up, began pacing. That's a lot of weight. Knowing that we're being cosmically evaluated, not evaluated, observed. Big difference. Valuation implies external judgment. Observation is just witnessing. But what if we fail? What if we self-destruct? You just watch. Yes, sadly, but yes, that seems cruel. It's respect for autonomy, for the right to choose one's own destiny, even if it's destructive. Nathan paused at the window. The sky was brightening rapidly now. Pink and orange tinted the desert horizon. You mentioned frequencies, energy fields. Is that real, scientifically verifiable? Yes, your science doesn't measure it properly yet, but it's starting. Quantum physics touches on these ideas. Quantum entanglement, non-locality. Yes, consciousness is a quantum field. Thought is frequency. Emotion is vibration, not metaphors, measurable realities. Nathan returned to the stool. So when you say high frequency or low frequency, literal love, compassion, joy, high frequencies, fear, hate, despair. Low frequencies, real physics. And this affects reality. Physics, yes. Collective consciousness shapes reality. Not immediately, not magically, but gradually, profoundly. As think of water. Ice crystals form different patterns based on ambient vibrations. Masaru Emoto's experiments touched on this. I read about it. Controversial. Controversial because it implies that consciousness affects matter. This threatens the materialist paradigm. But you're saying it's real. Yes, and not just water. All matter responds to the frequency of consciousness, especially collective consciousness. Nathan sued. So if humanity collectively vibrates fear, reality reflects this chaos, conflict, disaster. What if love vibrates, harmony, cooperation, flourishing? But how does this work on a planetary scale? Morphogenetic field. Collective consciousness creates a field that influences everything within it, individuals and events. Nathan shook his head. That sounds like New Age spirituality. It sounds that way because human scientific vocabulary is still limited, but quantum physics is catching up. Observer effect wave, function collapse, consciousness affects outcome. Okay, okay. Nathan took a deep breath. So we're what reality makers, co-creators, not omnipotent, but influential, especially collectively. What now, our current collective frequency? How is it low? Very low. Fear dominates. Media amplifies. People snore. Vicious cycle. Afraid of what? Everything. War, economy, climate, future, and now. Lyron paused as if choosing his words carefully. And now what, Nathan pressed? Nothing. Keep asking about us. About observation. Nathan sensed Lyron was avoiding something, but he didn't press yet. Your civilization, what is it like? Very different. We evolved beyond conflict millennia ago. We live in conscious harmony. How did they get there, crisis? We nearly destroyed ourselves. And then we chose differently collectively. Critical mass has awakened. How long did it take? Generations. But once started, it accelerated exponential change when enough people consciously choose. And now you guys are perfect. No, we still learn. We grow, but we don't destroy. We don't hate. We don't vibrate fear as a default. What is it like living like this? Peaceful, but not monotonous. There are still challenges, growth, exploration, just conscious. Nathan looked out the window. The sun was fully rising now, golden desert and new light. It's almost time for you to leave. Yes, wound is healed enough, and me. What do I do with this, with everything you told me what to choose? You can ignore it, rationalize it as a hallucination, or you can integrate it, let it change you. Change how? Choose differently, vibrate differently. Be an example of a higher frequency. Me, a guy in the middle of the desert. How does that make a difference? Every drop raises the ocean. Every awakened consciousness influences the collective field. You are not insignificant. You never were. Nathan felt something tighten in his chest. 3 years here alone, thinking I was waiting for contact. But really I was running away from human connection, from belonging. Yes, isolation was his form of self-preservation, but also self-imprisonment. And now, you're not alone in the cosmos. You never were. The question is, will you remain alone on Earth? Began to stand slowly. His movements were firmer, recovered. I have to go. The ship is waiting. Far away, but accessible. Wait, Nathan touched Lyron's arm. Deliberate contact. There's something you're not telling me. I can feel it. What is it, Lyron? Lyron looked at Nathan with those impossible eyes. There is. And you need to know, but not now. When you're more prepared. Ready for what? To choose not to vibrate in fear, even when you have every reason to be afraid. Upasana, That doesn't make sense. Will do soon. Very soon. Lyron walked to the door, stopped, turned. Nathan Cross, thank you for saving lives, for listening, for being who you are. Will I see you again? Maybe not physically, but the connection remains. When you need it, you'll know you're not alone. This is both comforting and frustrating at the same time. Welcome to conscious living, and Lyron left. Nathan followed him outside the station. Desert bathed in golden light, Lyron began walking, then he disappeared. Not exactly invisible, just no longer perceptible. As if he dropped out of phase with visible reality, Nathan stood still for a long time. The sun was hot on his face. The desert was silent. And for the first time in 3 years, he didn't feel alone. But I also didn't fully understand why. When you are more prepared, Lyron had said. Ready for what? Nathan returned to the station. His shift was ending. His colleagues would be arriving soon. Life was normal and short. But nothing was more normal because now he knew. He really knew. And in a few days, I would understand why Lyron had been evasive. I would understand what not vibrating in fear really meant and why it was more urgent than I imagined. 3 days later, Nathan was in the station cafeteria when he heard it. Have you seen the news about 3I Atlas? Carlos, an Argentine astronomer, pointed to a laptop. Other colleagues approached. Nathan looked. Headline: Interstellar Object 3I Atlas approaches. Scientists monitor trajectory. It's the second interstellar object detected, Carlos explained, after Oumuamua in 2017. But this one is much bigger and its behavior is strange. Strange how, Nathan asked. Curiosity piqued. Unusual albedo reflects light in a way that doesn't match the estimated composition, and trajectory has micro adjustments that shouldn't exist in an inert object. Sarah, a British astrophysicist, rolled her eyes. Here we go. More alien ship theories. I'm not saying that Carlos defended. It's just that the behavior isn't 100% explained yet. Nathan felt something strange. Lyron's memory from his words. And now when does it pass closest to Earth? Nathan asked. It's already relatively close. 270 million kilometers seems like a lot, but in astronomical terms is significant. And is there any danger of collision? Number 0 chance. The trajectory is well mapped. It will pass smoothly. Sarah picked up her cell phone. But look at the media. Hysteria has already started. She showed headlines. Giant asteroid approaches. Should we be worried? 3E Atlas. What scientists are not telling us? Mysterious object may pose unknown threat. Typical sensationalism, Sarah snorted. Zero danger, but they sell fear for clicks. Nathan scanned the headlines, feeling something uncomfortable familiar. Media amplifies fear. People snore. Vicious cycle. Lyron's words echoing. Sorry, Nathan stood up. I need to check something. He returned to his room. He opened his laptop and started researching. 3A Atlas discovered 6 months ago. Interstellar object coming from outside the solar system. Estimated composition, ice and rock. But anomalous behavior raises questions and media. God, the media. Hundreds of articles, most of them speculative, alarmist, creating narratives of threat where none existed. Nathan read comments on social media. Thousands of people. What if scientists are wrong about trajectory? Governments always hide the truth until the last minute. We need to prepare for impact. The end of times is coming. Fear, pure irrational but real to those who felt it. Nathan closed his laptop, heart racing. When you are more prepared to choose not to vibrate in fear, that was about it. Not about aliens, not about conspiracy, about 3 Atlas and human reaction to it. The next night, Nathan was on the station terrace, his favorite place to stargaze. Personal telescope pointed at the region where 3 Atlas was. I couldn't see it with the naked eye, but I knew it was there. And he felt something, not physical, but presence knowledge. Nathan, he spun around. Nothing, just dark desert and starry sky. Lyron, he whispered, are you here? Not physically, but the connection remains. I can project thoughts when you're receptive. I'm going crazy. It's not just more sensitive now. Frequencies I didn't perceive before. 3 Atlas. Nathan said, that's what it's about, isn't it? What you didn't tell me, try. What is it really? I can't just tell you. You need to understand the context first. The right questions lead to the right answers. Okay, first question. Is it dangerous? Will it hit Earth? No. Physically, it is harmless. It will pass at a safe distance. But you hinted at something that would make me want to be afraid. Not about the object itself, about humanity's reaction to it. Collective fear, you talked about it. Low frequency. Yes, in 3 Atlas's catalyst amplifier. Nathan sat in a chair. Explain, please. You've seen the news. You've seen how the media presents it. You've seen people's reactions. I saw it, unnecessary panic. But it's always like that with strangers. Yes, but this time the scale is different. And 3 Atlas is not just a passive observer. What does this mean? Tomorrow when the sun rises, go to the place where you found me alone. I will show you something that words cannot adequately convey. Show me how. Are you coming back? No, but I can design. Shared vision. If you're willing, Nathan hesitated. Is this safe, completely just intense? Prepare yourself mentally for what? A C3. As it really is, and understand humanity's role in all of this. Presence disappeared. Nathan was left alone on the terrace, looking at the sky, at the stars, at the region where the mysterious object was floating. Catalyst amplifier. What did that mean? The next morning, Nathan left before dawn. He walked 5 miles north, the place where Lyran had fallen, where it all began. Sunrise, silent desert. Nathan sat on a rock waiting. I am here. Okay, show me. What is 3D Atlas? Close your eyes. Breathe. Open your mind. Nathan obeyed, and then vision, not with eyes in the mind clear as reality, saw 3D Atlas not as rock and ice, but as field energy consciousness crystallized in material form. It's not just a comet, Lyran explained telepathically. It's a mirror. Mirror, cosmic mirror, reflects collective frequency back, amplified. Nathan saw, felt how it worked. Earth emitting frequencies, billions of consciousnesses, fear, love, anger, compassion, all mixed together, and 3i Atlas, absorbing, processing, reflecting back, amplified. If humanity vibrates fear over him, Lyran continued, it reflects amplified fear back. Cycle intensifies. But Nathan opened his eyes, vision fading. But it's just an object. How can you do that? It's not just an object. It's an entity. Consciousness different from organic but real. And you're here. Why by chance? There is no such thing as coincidence. It appears when civilizations must face their own reflection. A test, a mirror, an opportunity. Nathan felt the weight settle. Opportunity for what? To choose. Vibrate fear and have fear reflected and amplified. Or vibrate peace and have peace reflected and amplified. Free will, always free will. And humanity, how is it choosing? Watch the news. Check out social media. What do you think Nathan thought about the headlines, the comments, the growing panic? Fear. They are choosing fear. Yes. And 3, Atlas reflects this back. Global chaos, intensifying conflicts, anxiety, everything amplified. So we're doomed. Inevitable downward spiral. No, there is still a choice. Individual and collective, but the window is narrowing. Nathan stood still, processing an impossibility that somehow made sense. What do I do, a doctor in the desert? How does that help me? You choose not to vibrate in fear, and that choice influences the surrounding field. Small but real. When others panic, you remain at peace. Anchor stabilizer. What if I can't? What if fear is stronger than you get dragged into? But if you can become part of the solution, not the savior, but one among many who choose differently. Nathan looked at the horizon. The sun was now completely overhead. Golden desert, and somewhere up there, invisible but real. 3, Atlas floated, waiting, reflecting, amplifying, mirror, showing humanity exactly what it was choosing to be. Nathan returned to the station in silent shock. Cosmic mirror, collective frequency, amplifier, crystallized consciousness. Every word sounded impossible, but it also right in a way I couldn't explain. He locked himself in his room. He opened his laptop and started researching everything about 3 Atlas again. But this time I wasn't looking for scientific data. I was looking for patterns news from 2 weeks ago when 3 Atlas was initially detected. Neutral tone, scientific curiosity, interesting interstellar object. A week ago, tone changing, mysterious object raises questions. Speculation beginning 3 days ago. Escalation, possible threat. Should we be worried? Fear infiltrating the narrative. Today, alarming headlines everywhere, panic growing exponentially, and Nathan saw it, a clear pattern. How fear fueled fear. how media amplified it, how people resonated. Mirror reflecting back, amplified. Knock on the door. Nathan, are you there? Carlos's voice. Nathan opened the door. Carlos entered, visibly agitated. Dude, did you see? They just published a new study. 3 Atlas's trajectory has more anomalies than we thought. What kind of anomalies? Microaccelerations. Impossible for a passive object. It's as if it were responding to something. Nathan shivered. Responding to what? We don't know, but theories are exploding. Some say it's a spaceship. Others say it's a probe, and lunatics say it's... Carlos paused. Well, lunatics saying crazy things. What madness. That it's some kind of conscious entity, that it reacts to collective human thoughts. Ridiculous, obviously. Nathan kept his expression neutral. Obviously, but the worst. Carlos sat down heavily. Is the panic Sarah showed social media analysis? Mentions of 3 Atlas increased 800% in 3 days, and 70% are negative, alarmist, apocalyptic. And does it matter? It matters for collective mental health. There are already reports of an increase in anxiety attacks. Bunker sales are rising. People are going into panic mode. Nathan looked out the window. What if panic is justified? It's not. Carlos almost shouted. Object will pass 270 million kilometers away. Zero risk of impact. But no one listens to science. They just feed fear. They feed fear, and fear is reflected back. Amplified. Carlos. Nathan chose his words carefully. What if there is danger but not physical like this? What if the object is not an impact threat but another type of influence? Carlos frowned. What kind? Nathan hesitated. Then he decided. Sit down. I'm going to tell you something. Unbelievable. 30 minutes later, Carlos was pale. You're saying you operated on a wounded alien that he told you that 3I Atlas is a conscious cosmic mirror and that our collective fear is being reflected back, amplified. Try Nathan. Have you slept the last few nights? I know how it sounds, but you had a stress-induced hallucination and isolation. Dude, you've been alone in the desert for 3 years. I touched him. I felt a wound. I treated it. Luminescent liquid that wasn't blood. And where is it now, that alien? He left. Ship picked him up. Convenient. Carlos stood up. Nathan, you need help. Psychological. That is. I know you don't believe me. I don't expect you to, but answer me one question. Don't you think it's strange? How is panic escalating so quickly, disproportionate to the real danger? Carlos paused. It's unusual, but social media does that. It amplifies everything. What if it's not just media? What if there's a real mechanism? Physical quantum. Nathan, consciousness affects quantum reality. Observer effect double slit. You know it on a microscopic scale, not on a planetary scale with an object measuring kilome. Why not? If consciousness is a quantum field, and physics suggests it is, why can't it interact with other fields? Carlos shook his head. Even if there was truth to it, what could we do? Don't vibrate in fear. What? Choose peace intentionally, consciously. When you see alarming news, when you feel panic rising, choose peace instead. And that would do what? It would change our individual frequency, which contributes to the collective frequency which is reflected back. Carlos looked at Nathan for a long moment. You really believe that? Try. Then you're either completely crazy or you saw something that changed everything. Second option, Carlos sighed. Okay, I'll think about it. But Nathan, don't tell Sarah about this. She'll have you committed. I won't. But Carlos, just try. Next few weeks. When you see news about 3 Atlas, don't panic. Choose peace. See what happens. What if nothing happens? Then at least you are calmer than others. Nothing to lose. Carlos left, leaving Nathan alone. He doesn't believe it, but at least he planted a seed. That night, Nathan meditated. First time in years, breathed, focused, and he felt it. Frequency field all around. He didn't see it. He felt it. The station's collective anxiety, fear floating in the air like invisible mist. Lyron, are you listening to me try? How do I do this? How do I not vibrate with fear when everything around me is in panic? Not denying fear, but not feeding it. Observe, acknowledge, let it pass. How a doctor observes symptoms without becoming a disease. What if I fail? What if fear is stronger? Then try again. It's not about perfection. It's about repeated conscious choice. How many how many need to do this to make a difference? It's not a fixed number. It's a critical mass, a turning point. It could be thousands. It could be millions. But each one matters. What if we don't achieve it? What if collective fear is overwhelming? Then 3 Atlas reflects this back. Chaos intensifies. But it's not too late. There's still a choice. How long until it passes? Weeks, maybe months, until you're out of significant vibrational range. And then he leaves. He takes his reflection with him. And humanity is left with the result of its own choices. If you choose fear, you reap the consequences of amplified fear. If you choose peace, you reap amplified harmony. Nathan took a deep breath. So the next few weeks are testing. Don't test opportunity, big difference. Opportunity for what? To see one's own collective reflection honestly and decide if they like what they see. 3A Atlas does not judge, it only shows. A neutral mirror, responsibility for changing reflection. It's always been yours. Nathan opened his eyes. The room was dark. The window showed a starry sky. And up there, invisible but real, a cosmic mirror floated waiting, reflecting, amplifying, and showing humanity exactly what it was choosing to be. Choose not to vibrate in fear. Simple but not easy, especially when the whole world seemed to be panicking. But Nathan had to try, not because he would save the world single-handedly, but because it was his part, his choice, his responsibility. And maybe, just maybe, if enough people made the same choice, mirror would reflect something different back, something more beautiful, more harmonious, more human in the best sense. But only if they chose consciously, repeatedly, and time was running out. A week later, the situation was worse. Nathan sat in the cafeteria watching international news with colleagues. Global panic over 3 Atlas continues to grow. A reporter was talking about lines at supermarkets, people stocking up on supplies, a conspiracy theory that the government is hiding a real danger. This is insanity, Sarah muttered. Literally zero danger of impact, and people acting like it's the end of the world. Gun sales are up 400% in the U.S. Carlos read from his cell phone. Bunkers sold out. And look at this. Apocalyptic cults gaining thousands of members. Nathan watched silently, seeing a clear pattern. Fear fueling, fear exponentially mirror, reflecting back amplified. Worst part, Sarah continued, scientists have published dozens of papers proving there's no danger, but nobody reads them. They just share alarmist videos. It's mass psychology. Carlos said fear is contagious. It spreads faster than reason. Low frequency vibrating collectively. Nathan felt a weight on his chest. He was seeing exactly what Lyron had described, and it was terrifying. Aren't you worried? He asked. With what? With an asteroid that definitely won't hit us? Sarah snorted. No, I'm worried about societal collapse caused by irrational panic. What if Nathan chose his words carefully? What if our collective fear was making things worse like this, as in energy frequency, collective emotional field affecting things? Sarah stared at him. Nathan, are you okay? Seriously, I'm just thinking how panic breeds more panic. Vicious cycle. Yes, obviously. But the solution is education, science, facts. No. Mystical energy. Nathan nodded, not pressing. But he knew facts weren't working. Fear was stronger. That night, Nathan had to make a real choice. Sisterly bonding, first in months. Nathan. Thank God. Are you okay? I am, Lisa. Why? Why? Because of the asteroid. It's at a science station. You must have information that the public doesn't have. Lisa, there's no danger. The trajectory is mapped. Stay away. But the internet says scientists can be wrong, that calculations can change. I bought water and food for 3 months. Nathan felt his heart race. His own sister, a smart person, a veterinarian, and he was panicking. Lisa, listen, there is no physical danger. How can you be sure? And Nathan stopped because how could he explain? How could he say that the danger was real but not physical? What cosmic mirror was reflecting their fear back to them? Just trust me. Okay, and try not to panic. It'll only make it worse. Worse? How, Nathan? Are you hiding something? No. Just, just breathe. Stay calm for me. Can you do that? Long silence. Then I'll try, but I'm scared. I know everyone is, but fear doesn't help. Just choose peace, intentionally. This sounds like cheap self-help. Maybe, but it works. Trust me. After he hung up, Nathan noticed hands shaking, heart racing, his own fear rising. No, choose peace, you know the truth. But knowing and feeling were different things. He left. He went to the terrace. The night sky was impossible to clear. And he looked up to where 3E Atlas was, invisible but present. I know what you are, Nathan whispered. Mirror, not enemy, just reflection. Try, Lyron replied. Distant but clear telepathic presence. But it's hard not to get scared when everyone around you is panicking. I know. That's exactly why it's important. Why? Because you are an anchor, a point of peace in a sea of chaos. Your frequency helps stabilize the surrounding field. Me, a guy. How does that make any real difference? Morphogenetic field. A candle illuminates the darkness around. You are a candle, a small but real light. Nathan sat up. What if my light goes out? What if fear consumes me too, so rekindle it as many times as necessary? It's not about never feeling fear. It's about not feeding fear. Observe, recognize, I'm scared, but don't create a story around it. Don't spread it. Don't resonate. Sit, then choose peace again. It's constant work. Yes, but it's the work now in this moment for you and millions like you. Nathan looked down at the station. Lights on colleagues inside, some calm, others anxious. How many, how many are doing this, choosing not to vibrate in fear? I don't know the exact number, but it's enough to make a difference. Not yet critical mass, but growing. What if we don't reach it? So 3I Atlas reflects amplified fear. Chaos intensifies, but it's not yet inevitable. Every choice matters until the very last moment. Nathan took a deep breath. Sky stars immensity, and you felt it for the first time. You truly felt it. A field of frequencies. Global anxiety, like a heavy fog, but also points of light. Small, scattered, conscious peace amidst the chaos. I'm not alone. Others are choosing too. Yes, and each for one strengthens the others. Resonance. The following days were a constant test. Worsening news protests in capital cities, looting in some cities, escalating conflicts in Nathan daily choosing consciously peace over panic. It wasn't easy. Some hours I would fail. Anxiety would take over. Fear would creep in. But then I remembered. I breathed. I chose again. Mirror reflects what I vibrate. I choose peace and again. Always again. One night, Carlos looked for him. Nathan, can I speak? Of course. Carlos walked in, closed the door. I tried what you said, choosing not to panic, and it works sort of like I still watch scary news, but it doesn't consume me like it used to. Nathan felt hope spark. You're being an anchor, a point of calm. It sounds ridiculous, but Sarah even commented that I'm strangely zen considering the situation. And her still rational but tense. Very tense, Carlos paused. Nathan, do you really believe that collective consciousness affects the object up there? Try and if enough choose peace. Mirror reflects peace back. Virtuous cycle instead of vicious. Carlos remains silent. Then I'm trying to believe it. I really am. Because the alternative that we're helpless as the world goes mad is just too terrifying. We are not powerless. We never were. We just forgot. We forgot what that consciousness creates reality. Not magically, not instantaneously, but gradually, profoundly, and collectively. Carlos nodded slowly. I'll keep trying. Choose peace even when it's hard. It's all we can do, and it's enough. After Carlos left, Nathan returned to the window. 2 weeks since Lyron left. 2 weeks of constant testing, and Nathan could tell he was changing. Not dramatically, but profoundly. Less reactive, more centered, more aware of one's own moment-to-moment choices. This is evolution, Lyron had said, not a one-time event, but a constant practice. And up there, invisible but present, 3E Atlas continued reflecting, amplifying, showing neutral mirror, waiting for humanity to decide what reflection it wanted to see. And Nathan, lone doctor in the desert, was doing his part. Small, but real. 3 weeks after meeting Lyron, something changed. Nathan woke up and felt it. A subtle difference in the air and the frequency around him. Not dramatic, but noticeable to those who were paying attention. He went to the cafeteria. Sarah was there drinking coffee. Good morning, she said. And Nathan noticed different tone, less tense than previous days. Good morning. You're better. Better, Sarah considered. Yes, actually, I am. Yesterday, I realized I was obsessed with the news, checking my phone every 5 minutes. And I thought, this is driving me crazy, and it's not helping at all. Then so I stopped. I deleted news apps. I'll check once a day. Just scientific facts. No sensationalism. Nathan felt hope rise. And how do you feel, Lighter? It's weird. Threat hasn't changed. 3E Atlas is still there, but I don't feel a constant weight anymore. Carlos came in with his laptop. Did you see the trend started changing? What trend, Nathan asked. Social media analysis on 3 Atlas. Peak of panic was 5 days ago. Since then, it's been decreasing slowly but steadily. Really, Sarah stepped closer. Carlos showed graphs. Mentions remain high, but the tone has changed. Less apocalyptic, more rational and conscious choice movements are growing. Conscious choice, Nathan felt his heart race. Yes. Hashtags like choose peace, conscious response, don't feed fear. It started small but is gaining traction. Millions of people deliberately choosing not to panic. Nathan had to sit down. It's working. Critical mass is forming. Sarah read aloud. Viral post. Yes, 3 Atlas is there. No, it won't hit us. Yes, the future is uncertain. But panic doesn't help. I choose peace. Who's with me? 15 million likes. Another Carlos continued. Global mass meditation scheduled for tonight. Radiate peace as object passes. Millions focusing on positive frequencies instead of fear. 50 million already confirmed. Nathan closed his eyes, tears threatened. They are waking up, understanding, choosing. Are you okay? Sarah asked. Yeah, just relieved, very relieved. Why, you always knew there was no real danger. It wasn't about physical danger. It was about our collective response. Sarah studied him. You knew something from the beginning, didn't you? Nathan looked at her. Quick decision. I'm going to tell you something. You won't believe it, but I'm going to tell you anyway. 30 minutes later, Sarah was pale but alert. Let me get this straight. You operated on an alien. He told you that 3I Atlas is a conscious cosmic mirror. It reflects an amplified collective frequency. And you've been trying not to vibrate in fear to influence the reflection. Try. And Carlos knew. I told him. He tried too consciously, choosing peace. Sarah looked at Carlos. Do you believe this? Carlos hesitated. I I don't know if I believe in aliens, but I believe Nathan experienced something that changed him. And I believe choosing peace works empirically. I'm calmer. You're calmer. Global trends are changing. Correlation is not causation, Sarah said automatically. But what if it is, Nathan pressed? What if consciousness actually affects reality? Quantum physics suggests so. Observer effect entanglement, non-locality on a subatomic scale, not planetary. Why not? If consciousness is a quantum field and evidence is growing in that direction, why wouldn't it interact with other fields at any scale? Sarah was quiet. Then I'll consider that as a possibility. But Nathan, I need more than your word on alien. I have no physical proof. He left. But I have knowledge that he passed on to me, and it is proving to be real in real time. As panic is subsiding, just as he said it would, if enough chose peace. Critical mass forming, collective field shifting. Sarah looked at the charts on Carlos's laptop. Trends shifting, tones shifting, while collective frequency shifting. Okay, she finally said, I'll try. Not because I completely believe it, but because it can't hurt to try. And if it works, if it really works, then we're more powerful than we thought. Nathan finished. Co-creators, not victims. That night, Nathan participated in the global meditation, not physically. I was alone on the station terrace, but consciously. 7 p.m. GMT, millions around the world stopping, focusing, radiating peace. Nathan sat, breathed, focused, and felt clearly, distinctly collective consciousness field, shifting like a wave, starting small, growing, spreading peace, intentional conscious, millions choosing simultaneously, and Three-Eye Atlas and Nathan felt not with his eyes, but with expanded perception. Object responding, reflecting different frequency, returning lighter, more harmonious. Lyron, are you feeling this? Yes, it's beautiful. Humanity choosing collectively. Is it working? Yes, not yet complete. There is still fear, but the balance is shifting. Critical mass is approaching. What happens when we reach it? 3E Atlas reflects amplified peace back. A virtuous cycle is established. And then he leaves, taking the moment with him, but leaving humanity transformed. Transformed, how knowing, really knowing that consciousness matters, that choices matter, that they are not powerless. A lesson that many civilizations take millennia to learn. You are learning it in weeks. Nathan opened his eyes, starry sky, and he felt deep gratitude for Lyran, for an impossible encounter, for the truth that changed everything. Thank you, he whispered, for falling close to me, for trusting me, for showing me. Thank you for saving, for listening, for choosing, and for helping others choose. You are a seed planted, growing, spreading. Carlos appeared on the terrace. Nathan, did you feel that? Felt what? The meditation. I participated and I felt something like a wave of peace going through. I can't imagine. It was real. Nathan smiled. Yes, it was real. Collective consciousness, focused, powerful. So it's true. Everything you said, it's really true. Try. Carlos sat looking at the stars. So we are not alone and we are not powerless, and the future depends on our choices. Yes, it always depended. We just didn't know, and now we know, now we know. And that night, under the Atacama sky, two men sat in silence, feeling change. Not external, internal, and collective. Tipping point reached. Critical mass forming and 3E Atlas. Silent cosmic mirror, reflecting differently. No longer just amplified fear, but peace, increasing real humanity, seeing a new reflection, and beginning to like what it saw. 6 weeks after meeting Lyron, Nathan was on the terrace watching the sunrise when he felt it. Change. Definitive. Final. Nathan. Lyron. You're different. More distant. Yes. 3E Atlas is leaving. Leaving significant vibrational range. Connection between us weakening. So this is the end of a phase, not of a journey. What you learn remains. Nathan looked up at the clearing sky. It worked, didn't it? Enough chose peace. Critical mass reached. Yes, not perfectly. There is still fear. There always will be. But the balance has shifted. Humanity has seen its own reflection, fear and peace, and consciously chosen to change. What now? 3 Atlas leaves and everything goes back to normal. No, nothing comes back. It just continues differently. Humanity now knows, really knows, that consciousness matters, that collective choices shape reality. Some will forget, they will fall back into old patterns, but enough will remember, and that changes everything. What's next for Earth for us? It's up to you. It always has been, but now you know it. And knowledge is responsibility. And you, your civilization, will you continue to watch? Yes, always. But with more hope now, you passed a test that many fail. It wasn't a test. You said so. Forgiveness opportunity. You took it. You chose to evolve consciously. Nathan felt tears. I'll miss you. Your presence knowing I'm not alone in the universe. You've never been alone. And now you know it in a level you can't forget. Connection remains even when you no longer hear my voice. How will I know? How will I remember? Look at the stars. Remember that every point is a possibility. Life consciousness observing, hoping. And look at the humans around you, each carrying a divine spark, each a co-creator of a shared reality. You are not alone. You will never be again. Goodbye, Nathan Cross. Until we meet again in this life or another, and presence disappeared completely. Finally, Nathan stood still, feeling absence, but also fullness. It wasn't empty, it was full with knowledge, with purpose, with connection. 2 weeks later, Nathan was in the cafeteria when final news about 3 Atlas came through. In stellar object, 3E Atlas leaves solar system. Scientists reflect on global phenomenon. Reporter discussed not only object, but human response. Perhaps the most fascinating thing was not the object itself, but how humanity reacted. Initial panic gave way to a global movement of conscious choice, millions deliberately choosing peace over fear. Psychologists call it an unprecedented collective awakening. Sarah sat next to Nathan. So it's over. He's gone. Physically, yes. But the impact remains. You are right, she said quietly about everything. I don't know if I believe in telepathic aliens, but I do believe that collective consciousness has changed something real. And you changed, yes, not dramatically, but I notice choices now, moment to moment, where I direct my attention. What frequency I choose to vibrate at. She laughed. Listen to me. 3 months ago, I would have scoffed at that. Evolution, Nathan smiled. It happens when we're ready. Carlos joined them. Nathan decision made. I'm going back to Argentina, but differently. Not just an astronomer. I want to teach about consciousness, about choices, about all of it. That is great. And are you going to stay here in the desert? Nathan looked out the window. The vast Atacama, the endless sky, the solitude he chose 3 years ago. No, I don't think so. Where are you going? I don't know yet. But solitude has served its purpose. Now it's time to reconnect, participate, share. Sarah touched his arm. You made a difference. You know that, right? You didn't save the world single-handedly, but you were a catalyst, a seed. We all were. Each one who chose peace. Each one who did not feed fear. All catalysts. So what's next for humanity? Nathan thought it depends. It always depends. But now we know it depends on us. And that changes everything. Last night in Atacama, Nathan went up to the terrace for the last time. Impossible clear ski, millions of stars, resplendent Milky Way. And Nathan looked with new understanding. Each star potentially carrying life consciousness, civilizations watching. Some evolved, others struggling like Earth. He was not alone. Humanity was not alone, and most importantly, they were not powerless. Consciousness created reality not magically, but truly and profoundly. Choices mattered, individual and collective. Frequency mattered. Where they paid attention mattered. 3 Atlas had been a mirror showing an honest reflection. And humanity, enough of them, had chosen to change that reflection. Not perfectly, not completely, but enough. And that choice, that ability to consciously choose, even in the midst of fear, was real evolution. Nathan took a deep breath. Cold desert air. Last moment here. Thank you, he said to the universe. To Lyron wherever he was, to 3E Atlas on his cosmic journey to infinite consciousness permeating everything. Thank you for showing to me, for showing us that we are not victims, we are creators. And I promise I will remember. I will live this. I will share it. Not as preaching, but as presence being a frequency that I want to see reflected. One day at a time, one choice at a time. It's all I can do, and it's enough. And on that last night under the Atacama sky, a sky he had watched for 3 years waiting for a sign, Nathan Cross finally understood. The sign I was waiting for wasn't from outside. It was from within. A call to awaken, choose consciously, co-create reality through the frequency that vibrates. 3 Atlas had been a catalyst mirror teacher, but the lesson was eternal. You are not a victim of the universe. You are a conscious expression of it. And when do enough people remember this? Everything changes. And under those infinite stars, the doctor who once isolated himself from humanity felt a deep connection, not just with Lyron, not just with aliens watching, but with every human being on Earth, every consciousness, every co-creator all together, learning, growing, choosing, and that finally was hopeful. The story of Dr. Nathan Cross shows us a truth that science is beginning to confirm. Consciousness is not fleeting. It is active, creative, powerful. You are not a victim of external circumstances. You are a conscious frequency field influencing the reality around you. And collectively, we are an unstoppable force for better or worse. 3 Atlas real or metaphor represents something profound. The universe constantly shows us a reflection of who we are collectively. When we vibrate fear, reality reflects amplified fear, chaos, conflict, collapse. When we vibrate peace, reality reflects amplified harmony, cooperation, flourishing. It's not magic, it's quantum physics applied to consciousness. The observer effect isn't limited to the laboratory, it's a universal principle. Consciousness collapses probabilities into realities. And when billions of consciousnesses focus on the same frequency, the effect is immense. Think back over the past few years. How many crises have dominated collective attention? Pandemic, war, economy, climate, and now any threat, real or imagined, goes viral instantly. Why? Because fear sells. Fear engages. Fear spreads faster than reason. But there's a problem. The more we collectively feed fear, the more reality reflects that fear back. Not because the universe is cruel, but because we are active co-creators, not passive observers. Nathan learned this through an impossible encounter. But you don't need an alien to understand. It just requires honesty. Where do you place your attention? What frequency do you choose to vibrate? When you see alarming news, do you automatically react with panic? Do you share it without checking? Does it feed the cycle or stop? Breathe. Consciously choose how to respond. It's not about denying reality. Real problems exist. Challenges are genuine, but fear doesn't solve problems. Conscious action does. And conscious action comes from a frequency of peace, not panic. This is a work of science fiction. 3 Atlas exists as a real object being studied by astronomers. But the conscious cosmic mirror narrative is a creative metaphor to illustrate an emerging scientific concept. Collective consciousness affects shared reality. We're not literally saying that the asteroid is a telepathic entity. We're using fiction to explore a deeper truth. Your vibrational frequency, individual and collective, matters. Where you focus your attention shapes your experience of reality. This story is a warning disguised as fiction. Stop living in fear. Stop fueling collective panic. Consciously choose peace even when it's difficult. Because whether 3 Atlas is a literal mirror or not, your life definitely is. You reflect back exactly what you put into it. Fear breeds more fear. Love breeds more love. And when enough consciously choose higher frequency, turning point, critical mass, collective transformation. You don't have to believe in aliens to do this. You just have to choose. If this story resonated with something deep within you, if you felt called to live consciously rather than reactively, we have a transformative resource that can deepen this journey, reconnecting with your divine essence. This book is for anyone who is ready to stop being a victim of circumstances and start being a conscious co-creator of reality. Inside, you will discover how to identify and change your vibrational frequency. Real practice, not abstract theory. Techniques to avoid being swept away by collective fear. Maintaining peace even when the world goes crazy. How consciousness creates reality. Bridging spirituality and quantum physics tools to become an anchor of peace. Influencing the surrounding field through conscious presence. The path back to your inner creative power beyond narratives that make you powerless. If you, like Nathan, are ready to wake up consciously, choose and vibrate the frequency you want to see and reflected in the world. It is available in the first comment pinned here below the video. Subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. Every week, we bring you stories that challenge narratives of fear, explore creative consciousness, and point to the power that has always lived within you, but that you forgot to use. Leave in the comments, what frequency have you been vibrating, fear or peace? Are you ready to consciously choose instead of reacting automatically? How did this story change your perspective on objective reality? And if you want to support this channel and help these messages reach more people ready to awaken, become a member or leave your contribution with, thank you so much. Each support allows us to continue planting seeds of awareness. Important. Final note. This is a science fiction work created to explore concepts of collective consciousness, quantum physics applied to the human experience, and the power of conscious choice over automatic reaction. 3. iAtlas is a real object being studied, but the conscious cosmic mirror narrative is a literary device to illustrate a deeper principle. Where you place your attention and what frequency you choose to vibrate shapes your experience of reality. The central message is stop living in constant fear. Consciously choose peace, love, and constructive action over reactive panic. This story is a warning disguised as fiction. Your conscience matters. Your choices create reality. Use this power wisely.